What if betrayal wasn't the opposite of love, but one of its most honest expressions? There's a strange, uncomfortable idea running through the work of poet and writer Homeland al-Maghout, that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your homeland is to refuse to lie about it, to betray the myth in order to stay faithful to the truth. This is Saga Thinks. Let's get into it. We're taught almost everywhere that loyalty to one's country is a virtue, automatic, unconditional, beyond question. Al-Maghout's writing pushes directly against that assumption. He treats the declaration, "I will betray my homeland," not as an act of hatred, but almost as an act of integrity. The logic underneath this is uncomfortable but worth sitting with. If your homeland has become something that causes real suffering to the people who live in it, through corruption, oppression, fear, then continuing to praise it as if nothing were wrong isn't loyalty. It's a kind of lie. A comfortable lie, maybe, but a lie all the same. Al-Maghout's writing suggests that real love for a place sometimes requires you to stop protecting its reputation and start telling the truth about its wounds, even when that truth sounds to outside ears like betrayal. This isn't cynicism. It's closer to the opposite. Cynicism gives up caring. What al-Maghout describes is someone who cares too much to stay silent, who would rather be called a traitor for speaking honestly than be called a patriot for staying quiet. Al-Maghout's writing keeps returning to a specific kind of figure, the ordinary citizen, small and largely powerless, caught inside systems of control far larger than themselves. Not the general, not the leader, the person standing in line, staying quiet, watching their words, adjusting their life around fear they didn't choose. There's something almost absurdist in how he frames this, a dark humor sitting right next to real anguish. The absurd isn't decoration here, it's diagnostic. When systems of power become large and irrational enough, straightforward tragic language starts to fail. Sometimes only satire, only the absurd, can accurately capture what it feels like to live inside something that makes no sense and yet controls your entire life. This is where al-Maghout's writing becomes less about any particular political system and more about a universal psychological condition. What happens to a person's inner life when they are made to feel small, watched, and powerless for long enough? The resignation, the dark jokes, the strange resilience that develops anyway, almost despite itself. You don't need to have lived under authoritarian rule to recognize something in this. Al-Maghout's central tension, deep loyalty paired with unflinching criticism, shows up anywhere someone loves an institution, a family, a community, or a country, enough to be honest about its failures, and gets called disloyal for it. There's a version of this in every workplace where raising a real problem gets labeled negativity. In every family where naming a pattern gets labeled airing dirty laundry. In every community where criticism, however well-intentioned, gets treated as betrayal simply because it's uncomfortable to hear. Al-Maghout's writing offers a quiet reframe. Silence in the name of loyalty isn't always loyalty. Sometimes it's just fear wearing loyalty's clothes, and sometimes the person willing to be called a traitor is the only one actually telling the truth. A brief note on the writer. Homeland al-Maghout was a 20th century poet and playwright, widely regarded as one of the founders of modern Arabic prose poetry, writing that abandoned traditional verse forms in favor of a rawer, more direct language capable of carrying both grief and dark humor in the same breath. His work became known for expressing political oppression in language that managed to be both poetic and immediately accessible to ordinary readers, which is part of why it resonated so widely and endured so long after it was written. There's something quietly radical about a writer who takes the accusation traitor and refuses to run from it, who suggests, instead, that honesty about what you love might be the deepest form of loyalty there is. Al-Maghout doesn't offer comfort. He offers something harder: permission to stop pretending and to tell the truth about the places and the systems that shape your life. If this kind of thinking resonates with you, subscribe to Saga Thinks. We're covering the writers and thinkers whose ideas still cut close, one book at a time.